One of my prayers for WFA is that God would write a story that brings him glory, a story that's bigger than anything we can do, a story that only he would get the credit for. And so I pray that for us as a church, that we would write a story that bring him glory, but also that individual families, through what God does for them, how he provides them, how he blesses them, how he heals them, that they'll write a story that will bring God's glory. And today, through WFA Stories, I want to bring you a story that I heard just last week. It's fresh, it's new, of what God has done for one of our own families, the Haro family. So here's the Haros, and just tell us a little bit about, I know this January is kind of an anniversary, not necessarily one we would celebrate, but it's been 1 year. Tell me about what God's done for y'all this year.
January 22nd of 2015, we were in a pretty major accident, put me out of work. I still haven't been to work. We started with a quite a nice nest egg that we had, and I had short-term disability. Andrea was in the accident with me, and she has short-term disability, and things were going along pretty good. And then the money started running out. And we were going week to week, day to day. And I'm a big worrier about money. I take care of the finances. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And God is so faithful. I mean, he waits till the last minute. He doesn't. God will provide for you. The Bible tells you he will provide. It doesn't say he'll provide on a weekly or monthly basis, but he will provide for you. And he waits till you need it to give it to you.
Yeah. So a year without work, a year without anything coming in, and a lot going out, right? Kids continue to want to eat, don't they? Those little boogers, they just are always hungry. Kids are always needing stuff. You're always needing stuff. And so you guys were just in a day-by-day trusting God. What was that like?
Well, he let us, of course, go as far as we could, and then he shows us how to trust. And in fact, there were times where the money would just bottleneck, like 3 or 4 months, because the doctor didn't fill out a paperwork a certain way that they wanted. Well, the insurance company for the short term didn't supply. So all of the bills, they still are waiting for their handout every month, just like everyone's is. But God showed us, and then he showed us through. He had this one neighbor I've only met one time come up and say that God moved on his heart and said that he said you'd need some money, and it's just not going to be filled with a sack of groceries. He did this 2 times, and then he was sharing, I guess, our story with a friend of his, and this lady came up and she said, and she gave us an envelope, and then she said, and it's about school time, you have school clothes. You know, so God even thought about school clothes. These were 2 old people. Yeah. They don't think about kids. Right. So that was just really an anchor point that he says that he'll take care of us. And we early on decided that we knew we weren't going to have enough to go through a whole year without working, without money coming in. But we decided that we were going to tithe no matter what it was. Now, we didn't like one day when our youngest son said, we don't have any offering. Well, there's that one week we just didn't have extra. We didn't have, not extra, we didn't have it to give. So, but anyway, God has supplied all the way up into this past Christmas time. A friend that I haven't worked with because I haven't been to work in a year, she said that I want to do Christmas for your kids instead of Angel Tree. And that was, we had presents for our kids, but that was sure a lot of help. Just things like that God will take care of you if you'll just seek him first. And
I love that God works through people. I know we had people that did some construction projects at your house, from the mills, just the little things and the little monetary blessings. The God works through us, that as he blesses us, we're able to bless others. And so I love celebrating that. Well, this last week, you pulled me aside during the meet and greet and said God had really shown up and really blessed you. Talk about that.
Well, during this whole time of meeting our emergency needs all the time, God wants to get you to a place where you can actually, breathe a little bit and not keep you in that place where you have to rely on a miracle all of the time. Well, God supplied in the way that David just got approved for. He was able to medically retire. Wow. Not something that we thought about at 57 years old, but, that keeps you out of the wringing your hands and thinking, oh, where is this coming from? Because all this point up to now, the medical has not come in to the point to where you can actually settle with insurance companies. So there's not been an insurance award. So without even any of that considered, God is more than able to take care of the little needs that we put before him.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just sitting here reminded of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. When it doesn't make sense, when it seems hopeless, you still trust. And in the end, here's a story of how God has provided, has blessed, and been so faithful to them. And we rejoice with them, and we celebrate their story. Another part to their story is that through all of this, while they were in need, they were also able to be used by God and still bless others through food and helping and serving. And talk to me a little bit about what that was like, still being able to be used by God like before, even while you're in need.
Well, you don't want everyone around to pity you or to know what's going on, really. I mean, you want to be normal. And when you would hear or know of somebody that has a need, just meet it. Don't ask, because you can see the needs there. And God pointed us in a couple of directions where we were able to do something for somebody else, and it felt good not to be on the receiving end. Yeah. It really did.
What a great story of God blessing, providing, and even using them through all of this. Here's a story that's giving God glory.